There were some quotes by Jokic that were going around. Obviously, I'm sure people know what that was. So let's go into the segment, the stories of the year. We've been talking about the Nuggets' first game and some of the questions we have, but let's just go straight to it. And I'll ask you both, what do you think the Nuggets' most impactful story or question of the year is going to be this season?
My question is Payton Watson ready to be a high-impact playoff player? I talked about this already, like his floor as a player in general, like being consistent is going to be really important for a playoff rotation because when it comes to building those rotations, it's about not making mistakes. But when it comes to Payton, like we saw last year, he was not an every series player. And we need at least one player off the bench to be an every series player. I think most of that really is the offense. To be clear, like I do think that the defensive concerns in Game 1 were a lot more to do with rust from having missed the preseason. Like he hasn't played basketball in the like NBA basketball since basically before the playoffs last year. So I need to see a little bit more from him on that end. Calvin Booth at Media Day alluded to some critiques about how Payton had an opportunity last year because of how, as you mentioned, Swipa, he opened the season just like he came out the gates just like a ball of energy, especially after like he started the season off slow. Malone issued a challenge to him, and then from then until basically February, he was coming in, bringing energy off the bench, even in a bad offensive night, which was really most nights. He was bringing a lot of impact defensively, off the bench. But in addition to that, we got to see not just flashes, but like some moderately sized stretches of wow, Payton's offense. Like he has this like free throw line jumper that he's like comfortable getting to. He can make a three every now and then, even if the shot form is completely untrustworthy. He can slash in transition and play make out of that, like all of this stuff. But then he ended really slow to close the season. It was basically from a little bit before the trade deadline and on. And at Media Day, Calvin Booth said, like, yeah, and he ended slow. And I think that he needs to be just incredibly consistent with his work because he has a really big opportunity in front of him. And I completely agree, right? We have decisions coming up starting next year, as I alluded to with Christian Brown, on which or how much to pay both of those players who occupy a similar role on this team as you're a high impact defender and a role player that is probably going to be, playing at least some minutes like off the bench and next to Jokic. And we also have issues that we've already talked about that need to be addressed via trade. And I think that the question of, are we getting a consistent, impact enough to continue investing in both of these guys enough to justify not upgrading one of these positions that we need to address. But I want the Nuggets to be the team that enjoys Payton's upside because I still do believe in that. I saw way too much of it last year to think that is just gone. And again, like rusty preseason and all of that. So I think that Payton Watson is going to be the most, one of the most impactful stories of the team this year.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Obviously, everybody knows I'm a big Payton guy, so I think it's going to be Jamal.
Yeah.
If Jamal's healthy, if Jamal's playing well, if Jamal's floor is 20-7 this year consistently, then if Jamal plays 65 games, they'll go around 50-15 in those games because they were 44-15, I believe. And they were on a 61-win pace when he played last year in the 59 games. They are just a very good team when he is at his floor, which is 20-7. But when he gets to 4-14 and 3-12, then it drops it. And then when he gets to 36 points, it gets even here. Like Jamal just has to find a way to live between here. And that's just going to be the request that we have of him for somebody making all-star money, who has all-star talent. Like that's what De'Aaron Fox does. That's not even an elite point guard. I think they're in the same tier. I think, that's what players like obviously Trae Young do, Tyrese Halliburton. There's just a floor, and it's gonna get like crazy if it doesn't like have like because you already kind of hear how people are and all that kind of stuff, and then it's obviously like the team. It's gonna wear on the team. Like Booth has talked about his conditioning. Malone has talked about his conditioning. Like they have both openly talked about this kind of stuff. So, and you just signed a new deal. Like it just that to me is the story. Like if Jamal's like, all right, whatever. Clippers are up. Here's 24, 5-7, 4-9 from 3, cooking.
Plus 19.
Yeah, we're back. You know what I mean? Everybody's locked in. You know, and then he does what he needs to do versus this little Raptors and this and that, and like he's able to boom, boom, boom. Then he can just build up a little bit of some equity. I think that will just help. You know, because we've only had really one good performance since Game 7 versus now it's in the preseason. So Jamal is the story. Because if Jamal is at his ceiling and not closer to his floor more often than not, then the Nuggets are like dominating team. And again, that includes yesterday. So that for me is the context. It's just there's a way for him to do it, and if he does it, then the whole team functionally is just viewed differently around the league.
Yeah. I had one more story that a question that I had that had more to do with the NBA as a whole, and a question I have about the league. And that's really like how dead small ball truly is. We talked a lot about this summer how all of the teams got bigger. Literally all of them. Even OKC, who's out there fighting the good fight, and we saw it last night. Again, crowding the Payton, doing the best that they could to, keep the Nuggets at bay. And, they did a good job of that. They went out and they got Isaiah Hartenstein this last summer. And they were also missing Jalen Williams in that game. And we know from the playoffs and from last year against certain teams, like they are willing to break out those double big lineups. Last night, I thought the reason that Chet did so well, particularly on offense, is that he was playing big. Like the popping was not as impactful because his shot is also looking janky. Neither team shot well last night. Everybody's working on new shot forms or something. But yeah, every other team got bigger. We got Zach Edey on Memphis. We have too many centers on the Portland Trailblazers. The Minnesota Timberwolves are the only team in the division that got smaller. We went out and gave a taxpayer MLE to Dario Saric. Even though, I thought maybe like he might have been gettable on a minimum, but not the way that centers were getting paid this summer. And I'm very curious. Even the Warriors are starting with Kuminga at small forward right now, with Trace Jackson Davis and Draymond. Like every team seems to be, acting as if small ball is dead. And I'm not sure if it is, even though I'd love it to be.
Well, small ball is just small ball is wing ball. The Celtics can play small ball, but my small ball is bigger than your, everyone's big and athletic.
That was going to be my answer.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's
Jason
definitely...
Tatum's 6'10". Like,
yeah,
call it small ball if you want.
Well, I mean, he is a power forward, but he doesn't play like one.
Well, he's a tweener. I mean, Jason is a 3, but he's a 4.
He gets away with that in the East, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
they can put him on centers.
Well, the thing of Tatum is in the West though. Like Tatum she's so big and strong that like I think she'll struggle against 5s, but against 4s, like he could play against 4s for sure. But
defensively, yeah.
Low
there
man,
aren't that many like 4s that play like 4s is the thing. A lot of them play like Tatum does.
Julius does, that's for sure.
Yeah, but Julius bodies Giannis. Like he plays like a 4 for sure. Really curious about how that they continue to grow that fit in Minnesota. Are there any trends that you think you'll be watching with the league this year? Overall trends in the game?
I guess the 3-point shooting, but I'm not, whatever. Yeah. It is what it is with that.
Yeah.
Trends. Yeah, I think how good everybody actually is. The Knicks, the Wolves, the Thunder.
Yeah.
There's a lot of projection with that stuff. But I actually want to know how good everybody, including for myself, how good is every Dallas? How good is everybody actually once you get into the meat and potatoes of the season? So just kind of curious to see, like, who's going to be the team that falls this year? who drops from the top to the mid to the bottom.
Everybody can't be good because like these teams all have to play each other, right? I mean, Boston can continue to just like roll everybody. For over half the audience who are not subscribed, so please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. Please remember to share and hit the notification bell as well. And always remember that winning is fun, and as Michael Malone said it, losing sucks.